flushed with success, except for Squire Little, who was now less flushed than he had been, and worse, more an expression more often seen on men returning from battle, one that had been badly lost with many casualties. Flute appeared at the elbow with a large glass of cognac. The squire muttered something about fluteliness being next to godliness, and down the liqueur in one gulp. The squire muttered something about fluteliness being next to godliness.
Hello, everybody. Let's get back. I've had an interesting time over the last few days. You might notice that I have a gap in my setup, which was my nanorings. That definitely has problems with the tuning, but I have not been able to track them down with a multimeter yet, and I'm currently trying to learn about how PCB boards, schematics work, and all that kind of stuff to try to trace what's happening, but that's way super confusing. So hopefully I'll get there eventually, but for now I'm down to one rings because the other one I can't really reliably tune, so boo. Hopefully I should be streaming to both YouTube and Twitch again, and I think that I've set it up this time so that chat is supposed to echo across both platforms. Hopefully that is the case. We will see. I've actually not had time to tear down the patch from last time that I was running with the CSL, so let's just remember what we had last time first. If I even still have everything patched up. I think there's bits and pieces of it that were missing, the rings portion. I need a clock, right? That's cool. All right. Now we got what we had last time. I didn't have any huge plans for this particular stream, although one thing that I did do was I made some edits to the options for morphagene. So there is, in case you didn't know, there is a text file that you can edit to change a bunch of settings on morphagene to do things that that I was sort of wanting to do the last time I touched morphagene. Things such as set it up so that sound on sound up here doesn't re-record what you're already doing. I have it set up now so that sound and sound control is literally basically just a dry wet control. Morphagene will always just record from the inputs now, and sound and sound mixes the inputs and what's coming out of morphagene. The other thing that it let me do was change it so that I can record into a new splice just by triggering record, which means that I can trigger it from here. So the idea I had of being able to programmatically record new splices and then play them and not have it be all munged by settings seems like it should be possible, hopefully. Oh, I know why this doesn't sound exactly like it did before. It's because we lost that preset, but that's okay. I'll just pick one at random. Hopefully one that's not terrible. Yeah, that'll work. So, I figured we'll... Oh, hey, Ken. Good to see you. And thanks, Ken, again, for all that information. I was just saying in the beginning I did a bit of tracing on the nanorings that I had, and it's definitely not... or it doesn't appear to be the pot itself because I can get variable resistance out of it, but looking at the schematic for nanorings and trying to figure out like where that signal routes to, I'm lost so far. All right, so let's put something into morphagene. Let's stick with what we had in the background already from the CSL. We have it. Oh, that's also why I need to put this shifty back into the mode where it's getting gates constantly. That makes more sense. Thought it was a little more sparse than usual. Okay, so let's just experiment for sake of argument with throwing rings through morphagenes because it's relatively simple. Let's go into the second part here. Set up some random patterns. Wow, I am severely lacking in short patch cables right now, but I think I've got a few in here that all this stuff that I was using for a delay previously, not going to be used anymore for now. Let's at least get the odd and the outs here. Okay, I've got 8. I just need pitch. And actually, we don't want this going out there. We want it going into morphagene. We want long cables out of morphagene into the mixer. That was some interesting. Fingers are particularly capacitive today, apparently. Ooh, that barely fits. That's a different splice, so let's go into an entirely new one. So we're not dealing with that old stuff. Now let's just get sound on sound. Why are we so far left panned here? Wow, that's actually really pretty already. Jeez, I didn't even do anything. What did I do with this pattern again? Oh yeah, this is what I did last time with the inverted pattern, right? I was on. Actually, it's not even the inverted pattern. It's the same. I want to invert this. We're on part 2, right? Yeah. Don't like that as much. What if I uninvert this part, but invert the sort of, oops, I doubled it. I love that part where it gets high. That's really cool. All right. Anyway, sidetracked by nice, pretty sounds. That happens a lot. We were trying to figure out why I am getting a mono signal out of morphagene. Going into 8. 8 is not panned. Can pan it, but it's not actively panned. Does it not actually output a stereo signal? Oh, that's interesting. Might have been one of the settings I messed with. I turned on something that makes it so when you put a signal into the right, it acts as like phase modulation or something like that. So maybe that made it so it comes out mono. Anyway, so we'll come out mono here as well, and yeah, let's see where that gets us. Okay. Interesting that part actually sort of stopped for a minute there. Part 1. Still only 16 steps long, so then part 2 is 16 steps long, yeah. E, D, D, D. Okay, now they're matched up. I feel that is actually a little better. Okay. Anyway, so we got rings coming in through morphagene. Let's see about getting it to keep recording new splices. I don't know what happens when it runs out of room to record more splices, but I guess we'll see. So I'm gonna set it up to hopefully just randomly trigger recording. And then we'll play back the gene mix in here with sound on sound. Might need to turn. Well, no, I can't turn it. I can't turn up the input because there's nothing to turn up. Okay. What else do I need? I'm not using this. Am I? Surprisingly, no. These two I'm not using. That gets confusing. Okay. So let's, for now, just randomly trigger recording. I don't want to trigger it too frequently to start, so let's use Pam's. Trigger output 4. Let's just erase it first to make sure that I didn't leave anything weird in here. It's going to be a gate. We'll have it, you know, let's try a Euclidean pattern, just out of curiosity. I'll just set up some random stuff and maybe we'll set it to a bit slower of a modifier, but gonna mute the other channel. Let's start randomly triggering record. So we're now blending we're blending the live sound and what we have recorded. It's quite quiet, so let me just give this a bit more gain. You can sort of hear both patterns being in there, but now let's mess with this. I'm going to listen exclusively to the morphagene to start. I also turned on something with the gene size that makes it smoother. So the other thing that we can do is hit shift with a random trigger too. That will change the splice we're on, so it will serve to like go back in time essentially, as far as I understand. So let's just give it a constant clock. What's with the distortion? Where the heck is that coming from? Sounds like whoa, the audio levels got a little bit off. Let me look up how I reset those levels again. 'Cause that was yeah, no. Wait, is that... Where is that happening? It might actually be happening at the mixer. No, it's definitely at the morphagene. Okay. Bring up our handy little modes app. Then how do you auto level? Hold record and then press shift. Okay, so we gotta wait for it to be really loud again. Maybe. Did we get it now? Having to reset it. That's weird. Hold record, press shift. Oh, maybe I need to unpatch that. Almost. Okay, maybe I got all of it out. That's kind of annoying. Okay. No, dang. Where is all this distortion coming from if it's not auto leveling? It's got it now. Come on, where's that? The edge is it. Okay. We're not gonna mess around with that more. I might have to go on the forums and like look that up or something, because that's weird. Alright. Let's get our record back in. Oh, are we triggering the auto leveling because we're hitting both record and shift? I hope not. Man, that's aggravating. Anyway. Okay. We pick it up. Here. Just stop triggering shift for a moment. Yeah, there's definitely edges of that distortion still in there. Alright, you know what? Let's start from scratch with this. How do I clear a reel again? One sec. Clear reel, hold shift, then press record for 3 seconds. Okay. Hopefully. Oh, there's still stuff in there. Hold shift. Press record. For 3 seconds, right? It's weird. Why isn't it resetting my reel? Or clearing my reel? Oh, make noise modules with your very annoying sort of menu diving. Yeah, it says hold shift, press rec for 3 seconds. That's exactly what I just did. Clear reel, right? Hold shift and press rec to delete. Well, I can delete all the slices. Slowly but surely. Doesn't even seem to be doing that. Okay, delete all splice markers. How about that? Hold shift and press splice for 3 seconds. Okay. That maybe did that at least. Or maybe not. And then we want to clear the reel again. So hold shift and long press on record. Oh, look at that. That time it worked. Heck was I doing wrong? I don't know. Okay. Let's try this from scratch again because I'm wondering about what the heck's up with the level. Again, we hold. Supposedly. Still a little distorted. And you know, now that I'm thinking about this, I seem to remember having this problem way back when I first started using morphagene. Like, and you know, the whole tale of how I got rid of it. Just take all the other things out of the equation here. Definitely not the reverb, so it is this leveling in some way. It said hold record. Auto level is hold record. Oh, just press shift, not hold shift. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Okay. Duh. Alright, here we go. I still can't seem to get it to level, huh? Of course, now I've got a reel here, which I didn't really want it to record. Hold record, press shift, internal gain will be set to normalize incoming audio. Audio is continually monitored while record is held. Did I maybe get it this time? It's still scratchy. Alright, you know what? Overall reset. Let's just really start from the beginning. Oh my goodness. Yep. This is why, whoops. This must have been some of the reason why I was frustrated with morphagene. Is it maybe just purely the sound on sound? Distorting coming out of there? No, it's definitely prior to the sound on sound that it's distorting. I mean, I guess take rings and put it through an attenuator. Seems silly, but considering the leveling thing seems to like basically not be working. This is not going to be long enough now. Yeah, if anyone who is around and knows anything about morphagene and knows why I can't manage to get this to level, that would be really nice to know. Okay, so we went into the attenuator and we come back. And that's in unipolar mode. Yeah, so it's definitely an issue of signal level. Can't go too high. Okay, that's enough to get started. So let's go back to what we were doing, which was triggering chord at random, triggering shift at random. I want this in reverse. Just gonna twiddle with some knobs for a bit and see if I can get anything cool sounding out of here. Whoa. Weird that it sort of devolved into white noise. Oh, there's some weird sounds in there. What does this actually just sound like when it's on? Cool. It's good to know that I can see the chat echoing through both. That's good. That way no one misses out on anything that's being said, no matter which side they're on for now. Thanks for listening in. I appreciate it. We're going to see where we get with morphagene. It's not being cooperative. I feel like something has now happened here because we've got a flashing record light and a flashing shift light, and I wonder if we just ran out of splices because shift isn't working anymore. I've recorded too much already. Well, let's just throw an LFO into organize then. That'll give us something that's at least a little different. Let's use stages this time. I'm going to adjust this. I keep knocking everything around. I'm going to say, in case you didn't know, you can actually use stages as an LFO. If you set it in, I believe it's orange mode. No. Yeah, green mode. If you set it in green mode and you hold the button, it puts it in a loop. So you've essentially got a slope, because that's green, running in a loop, which is an LFO. And then you can adjust the rate with this, and you can adjust the shape with the knob up here. So let's send a pretty slow LFO. I don't remember exactly what the shapes do here, but let's... Oh, I guess you can see it from the output down here. This appears to be like a sine-ish thing. That looks more like a ramp or sawtooth. And all the way over is gate. Alright, let's just go with a sign. Into organize. Let's go even slower. And we're going to turn up morphagene is best to get lost in. Try not to think about it too much. Hit it with modulation. Mess with that varispeed. Yeah. I'm getting that impression too. It's just all the things that I think that I want to do, I'm suddenly like, wait, am I even doing this right? I have no idea. But I guess, you know, right is all relative, right? Let's make some fun fart noises. No, definitely don't want gene size. The journey is rich with surprises. Isn't that the truth? Kind of nice. How does that mesh up with what we had earlier? It's a little bit busy. Kind of curious. The other thing I learned about today is this time stretching via the clock input. So let's try that. I've never done that before. So supposedly, plug a clock into clock, and then morph has to be a certain point. And then I believe varispeed. It just controls the pitch. Yeah, it just controls the pitch, but everything runs at the same speed, which is kind of cool. So, bit in reverse. What speed do we have this thing going at? 4. Kind of a little bit. Actually doesn't seem to make a difference. I'm definitely missing something because the clock in is not actually. I thought there was a mode that this was supposed to be in with alongside morph to get this working, but see if I got it in my handy dandy little guide here. All it is a manual. Yeah. Okay. That's not going to be too helpful. Being cold outside, my lights make it very hot in here. Okay. So that clock thing, not quite doing what I expect. What about... So I can always clock it that way by only hitting the play thing every so often. I now make the modifier a bit less. Make the modifier a bit less. I definitely have to make the gate length a little less too, because otherwise it stays triggers too much. This could be interesting. Very much I like it in reverse there, but... I don't think I like that. Oh, things are out of tune. I was wondering, everything sounded a little off. You know what, I'm gonna say, let's start from the beginning again. Let's not do this random record thing. Clear. It'll let me. I don't understand what I did last time to make this. Okay, so that cleared all the splices. I gotta look up what it means when the shift light's flashing. It seems to be something. Okay, so we're back to raw audio again. I was thinking, let's watch. Come out here. Let's watch part 2 and see when we reset, and let's just record it manually. We captured something. Let's just listen to it. Okay, that's a nice enough loop. Now, if we're gonna mess with this, let's do... necessarily gene size. Okay, this is starting to get cooler. Let's maybe let's go through this slide. That's interesting, but I don't think it wants a... Well, I guess the slide might not work with gene size. Maybe what we can do instead is a slewed value, which I can get out of my random generator 1U tile here. Let's slew between some values. It's clocked. Let's do slide, and we'll clock it with whatever's on output 8. I don't remember what it was. Right, if we mix this all in. What if we change the gene size? It's sort of crazy. Now I set it up so that apparently Varispeed will track 1 volt per octave if you tune it properly. So, what could we do with that? What if we send it some random quantized values from marbles? No idea how this is going to sound. We shall see in a moment. Out of tune for sure. If I am in A minor and this should output in C major, which are basically the same scale, so I just have to tune this right, I guess. Too much. We don't even have any splices in here, so this is all we've got for now. What if we self-patch this? It has a CV out that's an envelope follower on the actual sound that's coming out. I don't know. Gene size, sure. Get a little smaller. Maybe not. What about an extra delay? Okay, that's pretty huge. I think we're just even in like the simple dual tap delay mode, so let's try a different one. How about phased delay? Cool. Oh, I hear the phasing in the background. I don't really like that. Granular delay. This is already getting granular. Smaller grain size, maybe? I think I liked the first one better, actually. What Hellraiser delay? Because, you know, that sounds ambient. I think we've tried this before. Not Hellraiser delay, how about that? I kind of like just dual delay the best, actually. Is this going out to reverb too? Sure is. Oh, this is very pretty. I'm pretty sure that might be lost in the rest of the pattern here, but I feel like I want that to be more bassy. What about if I take the pattern that is running into the instro and I'll take it down an octave? Already down 2 octaves, let's go down 3. This is still running through Q pass, right? Yeah, it sure is. Let's just turn off the Rainmaker for a sec. Sounds a little better. Might just need a different... Oh, jeez, not that. Definitely not that. Huh. Well, I had created my own little preset here, but I don't know that it's necessarily going to be great for what... If we just do a simple slap back. And let's combine that. I forget now, did I invert that sequence? It's inverted, just see. About if we just clock it normally. Not times 16, obviously. still a little too much. Feels like perhaps we'll do some filtering. Feels like it needs a high pass. Let's just listen to it on its own. That sound. Okay. It's not bad where this is going. If any of the rest of you have any suggestions on where we maybe go from here, do let me know. This is pretty on its own, but we have been doing a lot of just sound design on these streams, so I need to try to make one of these into an actual track. Let's see where that gets us here. So with that, for that, rather, I think maybe we would be looking at one more voice at most for some variety, and even then, right now, there's not very much room sonically for anything else. We could use plats. Other things we could do is more modulation. Speaking of more modulation, could we try modulating morph? Do I have any tips on using the rings input? What are some good things to put into it? You know, to be honest, I don't use the rings input as often as I probably should because I really love the sounds that come out of just strumming it. But I have had luck in the past with primarily a percussive sound seemed to work quite well into it in some of the modes anyway. What did I do in one patch previously? I think I sent something from plats into rings, and then out from there. Of course, the problem is when you do that, you then have to have a VCA after rings, because otherwise it's just constant noise, right? But yeah, I think I might have done the FM thing from plats into rings at some point, but yeah, I don't do it that often. Yeah, you either. Yeah, fair enough. Just makes two good noises on its own, even though it's supposed to just be a resonator, right? Okay, I'm liking modulating morph. Gives it a little bit more variety. Although maybe a bit too much. I'm getting a DFAM soon. That's cool. Drums are not really my thing, as you might be able to tell, but that's awesome. I've heard lots of good things and seen many good videos. If it's anything like the Mother 32, which it appears to be, I had a Mother 32 quite a while ago, and that plus what's Make Noise's semi-modular thing. Those two were sort of my intro to how much fun it is to be connecting wires and moving knobs all at the same time, and then making random things feed back into each other and cool sounds coming out of it. Alright, so plats. How about we have a part 3? What do we even have going into this? Some random sequence I must have been using before. It's in the wrong wrong key, so we're gonna clear this pattern. There we go. Okay, so let's see what we can get out of plants from all this. Holy, am I ever running out of cables? I think I might abandon this whole idea of turning on and off the gates for a moment, just so that I can save some cables. These two saved. The Pittsburgh SV1, yes, that was one that I eyed back at the time for a first semi-modular, but to me, for some reason, that looked a little more intimidating than the other options, and I think at the time I was also like, oh, it's Moog, it'll be great. I don't know anything about Pittsburgh. Who knows if it'll be great, but yeah. What do you have for a modular setup now? Just go out raw for the moment. Just gonna mute the other two channels and hear what we're getting here. Ah, right, I didn't generate anything. Generate. Whoa. Wow, what did I don't think I've ever got it sounding this cool before. Okay, this is some of the cooler sounds I've ever got out of Platts, and I haven't done anything with it. What the hell did I do previously to make this sound like such garbage? I mean, it totally doesn't fit what we're doing, like, at all. But, you know, cool anyway. I'm gonna set this at a slower rate here. I wonder if I want this triggered by T1 as well. Maybe not. I don't think so. Not yet. Speed it up a bit, just for going purposes. Saving up for okay, so yes, but your mom blew you away with an SV1 for Christmas. Best gift ever. Yeah. An SV1, disting, mass, rings, warps, and black hole DSP1, 104 HP. That sounds like a pretty good setup. What do you think of warps? I've heard lots of interesting things about it, especially the alternative firmware. I don't know if you're running that like it can do all sorts of different interesting things, but I've never had one, so I'm curious what you think. And hi Mac Joe, thanks for coming by. Just trying to figure out a last voice for all this. I think I really want chords. What about? Thanks, Mac. That's what we do here. Lots of eurorack. Seriously, half of these modes in Platts I've never gotten decent sounds out of. I don't know what. The only thing that I did was tune it last time. Apparently I've just been like running it so far out of tune that I get garbage out of it. Because this makes a nice... Well, before that point. It's almost a ringsy sound. We're not even in a rings mode. Now we're in a rings mode. Don't like Platts either. Yeah, I mean, up until this point, I've only used it a few times, but like now that I have it tuned, like, I mean, listen to this, like, off a bit. But now it's actually making some decent sounds. Warps is super hit or miss, sometimes too digital, but delay and parasites mode sounds amazing, especially when you keyboard track the delay mode. You bought it for the big glowing knob. Yeah. I could see that too. It's all about the aesthetics, right? I didn't even know it did a delay. I knew that like in Parasites it has an oscillator or something like that, but I haven't even looked into it enough to understand what it's supposed to do in its default mode. So. Alright. I liked where this was going. I think that it will get lost. Deep Sea Driver on YouTube does a good job of warps. I don't understand what he does most of the time. So I'm not sure. Okay, fair enough. I'll add that to my my little list of people that I need to check out. Getting longer and longer every day. What makes you not very into mutable instrument stuff? By the way, can those of you on YouTube also see this chat from Twitch getting rebroadcast? It's supposed to be doing that. Waveshaper and vocoder. Yeah, vocoder I wouldn't have much use for, that's for sure. Parasite, well, I mean, it seems to be the case with all of the ones that have Parasites modes available. If you install it, it's much improved. Even Clouds has some really interesting stuff when you're in Parasite side. The MI modules are weird. Yeah, I suppose. It's I mean, personally, I would argue that they're a heck of a lot less weird than Make Noise modules. Like, QPass and Morphagene are already on the edge of me being like, ugh, I don't want to try to figure out what the heck's going on. At least, like, I mean, when I read the descriptions of Make Noise modules, like, can any of you, from the descriptions alone, actually determine what the hell these modules do half the time? It's like written in some sort of really esoteric kind of, I don't know, pretentious sounding language, and I'm like, well, and then I have to, and then I inevitably go look at some demo from like DivKid Ben or whatever, and then I'm like, oh, I get it, it's a filter. They aren't, yeah, fair enough, yeah. I guess Mutable Instruments, since all of their stuff's basically open sourced, makes sense, yeah. And I don't know. For me personally, if I was doing Mutable Instruments in VCB Rack, I would find it a little harder just simply because you can't, like, reach out and twiddle these knobs. Mainly just a sweet spot with this one. I don't think that we can... Yeah, because otherwise it turns into what it actually is supposed to be, which is random white noise, but this actually starts to get pitched white noise, which is... I was hoping to give this a bit of modulation, but... What about... Send it through... Lo-fi junkie. I don't think that's going to be any good. Let's see. Yes, make noise modules. Yeah, it does encourage exploration for sure. It's just, yeah. I find that when I figure out that I want to do, like, you can explore, but then when you figure out you want to do something, it's kind of like, oh, well, like, you know, what the heck does morph do again? Or whatever else. It's not necessarily self-explanatory, but I get what you mean. Yeah, maths, I had a maths, and I got the purpose of it, but I just didn't find myself using it that often, and it seemed gigantic for what it was, so it didn't stay long. I think I like it better not through Lo-Fi Junkie. It's a little more subtle. I might not want reverb on this either. Trying to decide on a speed for this thing in the background. The last was triplets. This is just back to eighths. Definitely needs some more variety. I might put some chance operations in the sequence out of curiosity. Backer Rampage is more straightforward than maths. Yeah, that was something that I considered was the Rampage when I was going to get my maths, but then I didn't. But FACO seems to have a lot of very interesting modules. When I finally get the chance to try doing a DIY one, they are who I want to try, I think. Because I think almost all of their modules are available as like DIY kits or something like that. Not that I can really easily get them here in Canada, but I mean, they exist. Alright, let's add some chance operations here. We go. Really gotta find a way to get this webcam to be more stable. Anyway, so trying to figure out where I'm going to make it skip. Let's put a skip here. Chance to skip. I want it to skip randomly forward. Sure, why not? Let's try it. Chance to skip randomly forward doesn't really work well when you're at the end of the pattern. How about chance to skip randomly back? Pretty much all of them are DIY and some are pre-solder available, which saves time and money. Yeah, fair enough. I'm actually trying to learn about soldering because you probably saw the gap here. I have my old friend, the other Nano Rings, whose frequency attenuverter is busted in some way or another, so I can't fine-tune it. I'm trying to learn how to track everything down, trace everything down here to figure out where the problem is. So far, I think it's not the potentiometer, but that's about as far as I've gotten because I can't read circuit schematics yet. I'll get there. Yes, the vector sequencer. I have a couple of previous streams on it. If you want to get a bit more info, they're all up on YouTube. But this is pretty much my new favorite sequencer. It's really great for generative stuff and for chance operations too. So it's kind of, for me, it combines like the best of electron sequencers to a degree with the chance operation, combined with, of course, it's all eurorack and being able to clock sequences with triggers, which is actually what we're doing here. The first sequences are being advanced by triggers, which is great. And then there's multiple different generation algorithms that you can use that aren't just like purely random. They have some sort of consistency to them, so it's great for ambient, I think. Using mass like a subharmonica. So I'm always using the attenuators and the envelopes as a pseudo VCA to make wave sounds with white noise. That would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. Admittedly, also back when I had a maths, it was much earlier in my modular career when I didn't get that you could do these things or why you would do these things. And now that I have these IntelliGel cases, most of my attenuators are all in here for the most part. Although I do need to fill up my €1 up here. I do have a little USB power module that I just haven't hooked up yet that I'm probably gonna get a lamp on or something like that so that I can light this up a little bit better. Because I got a lamp up here right now, but like, I don't know if you can see. It's alright, but it does make things a little bright. It's a little too directional, so maybe I'll get something with this. Alright. Just gonna listen to this chance thing for a minute. I'm not so sure how much I like this setup. The skipping. Let's see what other chance operations we could do. I want to ratchet it really. Don't want to change the note. Maybe we will go with no changes. Let's just put a whole bunch of them. A whole bunch of randomly up and randomly down the notes and just see if we get anything interesting out of that. Where's my minus? Here we go. Give this a bit more chance. Listen to this on its own. Might actually be better with reverb. Alright, that's not doing it for me either. To move around. Can I make a tour of what's happening right now in this patch? Yes, I can. Let me show you, because there's lots of wires. So let's start from the very beginning. We got one part, which is essentially like a sequence coming out of vector. Is going into, if we trace the cables, one side is going into an ADSR envelope generator, which reset itself from what I had it last time. But anyway, ADSR envelope generator, that envelope is getting multed out, and it is going into both a VCA and into the CV control here on the Instro CSL. The CV control for index, which essentially the way that I have it set up is the internal modulation is set so that these two oscillators waveforms both get combined together in a certain amount based on this CV value and the index before they go into the wave folder. However, I realized that from the last time we're actually not even using this anymore. I only ended up using the sine wave output. So this is completely redundant actually, but I'll leave it in there. And the volt per octave is going to volt per octave. The sine out is coming out into essentially being mixed together with the pulse width. Well, this isn't the pulse width out. This is Instro CSL's weird. So on the top oscillator, they have like a pulse width modulation wave. And in the lower one, they have a stepped triangle wave, which has a really interesting sound. So I mixed the two of those together. They come out into the VCA that was triggered by that envelope generator, out of there, and into QPass down here. QPass, we're modulating the rotate on both sides with just some random LFOs. Coming out of the high pass on both sides into Rainmaker that's got a slapback delay on it, and then out. And that is what gives you this sound. Oh, and I should also mention this is being clocked by, so Marbles itself is being clocked by Pam's new workout, but then Marbles is set on the left-hand side. Let's look down. Hard to see because there's tons of cables. It's set on green mode on the left-hand side, so it's essentially like a branching coin flip. When those gates go through, they're going into the trigger 1 input here, and the vector part, in this case, this part 1, is it? Hold on a second. I feel like something reset. It did. Why did it reset? Okay, we're gonna set this back. Sound like crap for a sec. But I had it on. It was set on T1, which means that the sequencer gets advanced every time there's a high gate in the trigger. It keeps things a little more quiet, which is interesting. Now I wonder how everything melds together. This might need more boost now. Yeah, it's much more subtle now. I don't know whether I like that or not. Yeah, interesting. So that's voice 1, if you want to call it that. Voice 2, we're doing pitch and gate on track 2. It's also clocked by T1. That's going out into rings in that yellow inharmonic strings mode or whatever it is. Oops, let you see. Into rings. Out from rings through an attenuator because I was having troubles with morphagene's levels. I don't know why. It was distorting like crazy and I couldn't get it to auto level. So into morphagene. Morphagene I already recorded a partial splice into. We're modulating morph on morphagene with an LFO, and slide is being modulated by a random slewed value. That gives us this sound. And then we go out. We go out through Black Hole DSP2, which is just in dual delay mode. So that's that voice. And then this was really simple, just plats. That's it. It's being sequenced also by vector on track 3, which is up here. Which one? That one? Yeah, Mac Joe, that's what I do most of the time. Sometimes I'll concentrate on one module or another, do a bit of like a tutorial session on it, because I was quite popular on YouTube for the tutorial videos I put together, but I kind of don't really like the format of doing pre-recorded videos. I like these live streams better because people can ask questions and that. So sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll do sessions more like this where I'm just gonna like mess around, see what kind of sounds I can make. I want to do some dedicated sessions where I go start to finish on a track, hopefully, or not, maybe not start to finish in 2 hours, that'd be kind of crazy, but like into something that's more like a track. Because right now this is just a lot of sound design, but yeah, it makes you want to do Tai Chi. Yeah, that's ambient for you, huh? Oh yeah, and yeah, you were saying about you have a dig attack and you never thought about using the probability. Yeah, electron sequencers are amazing for that sort of thing. The randomized triggers. Do I have it plugged in? I have a digitone over here, but I don't have it plugged in to be able to tell you what how you pick those randomized triggers. I think you have to be in like the trig mode, the first button underneath all the encoders on the left, and then you somewhere in there's a section to choose the chance or the probability or something like that. But yeah, maybe one day I'll put the digatone back in here because it does make some interesting FM sounds. But I've been trying to concentrate on keeping it in the eurorack because then it's all self-contained and nice. All right, so let me just add that more sparse sound back in again. It almost gets lost, but not quite. It adds something to it, it's just very subtle, so. Yes, that was a combo I did for a while, was Digitone and Digitact together. But then I integrated them with my modular stuff, and then I realized I'd rather sell them, at least the Digitact. The Digitact was what got me this CSL, which has been really cool so far. I will probably drop my Digitone at some point too, just because portability purposes and whatnot. These two cases are great because I can slap the covers on them, and they're carry-on size, so when we go places, my wife can take one and I can take the other one, and no one gets mad at us. Beauty about rings is you don't have to worry about tuning it. Well, you do have to worry about tuning it, unless maybe VCV Rack does something that makes it so you don't have to, but certainly in the Eurorack version, I had a whole video or a whole stream a couple of days ago where we went through how to tune rings because it's a giant pain in the ass, actually. And now I'm like never going to touch the frequency knob again, ever. Alright, I want to go back to that bassy sound we were getting. So sure I like these chance operations I put in. What if I just have a chance to mute this step? The chance will ever trigger. Come on. Okay, that makes it better. So this is something I've talked about before, is this the too much randomness in ambient. That's what that skip was doing for me. There wasn't something for me to like latch onto with my mind, and it kept changing and it was jarring. So muting this step is actually better because the sequence sort of like stays in time, but occasionally notes drop out. Now, we already said that nothing about this was what if we put, I think it really FM is going to be. I'm just trying to think about, there's one other output from the vector sequencer that's handy, which is the velocity, which of course gets randomized and then you can modulate and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm trying to think if there is a worthwhile place to drop that into with Platts right now, but I don't really think there is. Maybe we'll look at some effects for this. Let's see what disting has for us. What could we put in here? I don't think we really want a delay necessarily. Compressor is not really helpful. You already have reverb, really. Resonator. I've never tried that on here. Let's try that. C5. Out. C5 resonator says X is the audio input. Running out of cables again. A is the audio output. Whoa. Holy. It's like overloaded already. I haven't even done anything with it. Are you sure that it's at C? Because like if you, for instance, look at these, this is tuned to C right now. This is the frequency knob here and the attenuator here. Nowhere near like a 12 o'clock default position or whatever. Okay. This is too crazy. So we're not going to do this. No resonator. I don't know how to use a vocoder, so we're going to skip that. How about a phaser? That's C7. Whoa. Interesting. That was the feedback control that was doing that. Weird. See about the other parameters here. Number of phaser stages. I don't think this is necessarily a good sound for a phaser. Tape delay. Why not? We said we weren't going to do a delay, but tape delayers can be fun. So we got tape length. Oops. And tape speed is position 2. Whee. No tape delay. What a wavetable wave shaper. K3. Oh, right. I can't do this one because I don't have any wavetables loaded into this thing. How about a mono chorus? I don't use chorus on anything. L. Oh, I need an LFO into this, I guess. Just LFO rate. It's not going to be helpful. Running out of attenuator slots. I want something out of this, but I don't know what it is. This is where my way of doing music becomes a problem, is that I never have an idea in my mind of what I want to make. I just know I want something different, and then I experiment around until I find something that sounds cool. But I'm not like, oh, obviously this needs a reversed delay or something like this. We might just not really get anything out of this. Just go back into the lo-fi junkie then. Entirely opposed to that. So, maybe another thing we could go over here is how would I go from this and making it into a track? So, what options do we have for this? We can obviously, channels can be muted. This morphagene, we can go back to the raw sound. We can also cut the delay. All of these things we can cut the reverb from. This channel's so subtle that I don't think I would ever... and intermittent enough that I don't think I would ever necessarily bring it in. So I don't think that I would start with this. So maybe I would start the track on this note. I would bring in that bass line just yet. Change that pitching back again, because I had these two as inverted versions of each other, and I think that I like them better both being the same. They're both triggered by the same thing, right? They're both /16 and T1, so I think that makes it a little bit more complementary. is a little bit more random than I would like, mostly because the Black Hole DSP2 can't be clocked, which I think that I might be ditching the DSP2, to be honest, for that exact reason. But I liked where the beginnings of that was going with the having delay off, morphagene just raw. Then when it comes up, maybe even just adding little bursts of the sound on sound. And then what about then another trick that I like to do too is turning on pre-mixer send to the aux, so that you just have the reverb coming in. Thank you very much for the follow, Pharaoh38. Appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying. If you have anything you'd like me to explain or try out, feel free to let me know. Actually not getting much out of that. Hang on a second. Why am I not getting... Should have pre-fader signal here. No, it just wasn't sending enough to the aux. It might not be worth it on this one. That is a trick that I like to do, though, and I've used in a couple of my tracks before, is starting off with, like I said, the pre-fader send to the aux, so you get just like the ethereal reverb sound, and then fade in the actual sound, and then switch it to post afterwards. It's usually relatively seamless. Actually really like this, like, randomly fade in that sound on sound. What could I do with that would make things more interesting? And also, if I'm going to be doing it this way, I need more variation to that pattern that we're playing. It has been good because it's triggered by T1, so it's not just a 16th note pattern playing. It starts and stops a bunch, but I think it needs more chance operations to vary things up a little bit, maybe. Cool, yeah, I definitely will. Yeah, maybe I'll start doing that when I finish, or quote, finish a voice. I'll do an overview of it, start to finish again, and see where that gets us. It's always hard to do in this scenario because people come and go, and if they come part way, I don't know whether I should repeat myself or anything like that. But yeah, I'll start doing that. Thanks for the tip, Ken. So let's maybe start with that random hit of the sound on sound thing. How or where would I go about doing that from? Could be a velocity. I don't know. Let's just do it manually for the moment and see sort of. Let's just start from scratch again. So back from just the raw morphagene. notice this is not feeling like it matches as much as it did before. Feels out of time. Could we somehow make that be triggered as a sort of subdivision of the like randomly advancing clock so that it sort of has some relation to the way the pattern is progressing, I wonder. How would you go about doing that? Don't want it to play in the exact same or advance in the exact same time necessarily, but you want it to be relative to it. It's like you need to get it to like, oh, if I want to get it to like skip every second trigger, I can do that with Shifty. So I don't know, let's try that. See what it sounds like. See if that makes it seem to fit any better. But I'm really liking this random injection with the reverb. It's nice. Okay. So then we need to melt T1, which means I need a cable. Just take you. So now we've got a subdivision of T1. So we put Shifty back in its normal mode. So with Shifty back in its normal, not sequential switch mode, it's now it's not even in shift register mode, it's just in 2 voice mode. So now every time I get a gate in, 50% of the time it'll go to this gate, 50% of the time it'll go to this gate. Yes, yeah, shift register, yeah. Almost. We're not going to quite use it because the shift register would send it out to, it would rotate the values through, and it'd be good if this was CV, but with this just being gate, all we need is a trigger to come through, so I think we can do it in. So if we pick one of these and send it into T2, we sort of get like a halved clock in a really weird way. Like it should be related to the other clocks. So now if we take this and make it clocked by T2. Oh yeah, and I need to also set T2 into its external mode. So we set trigger to holy cow, there's a lot more in here than I remember there being. Where is it? Over there. I didn't know you could queue this. That's kind of cool. Did you notice that when I changed it, it had a little queue that came down the side, so it looks like you can like choose a value and then like wait and then click. And I wonder if it's like the rest of the queuing you can do in Vector Sequencer, you can actually make it queue like so the change happens on a bar. I'm gonna have to play around with that because that'd be cool. All right, so now we got T2 coming in. So part 3 now is not being clocked at all. What does that mean? T2 H/16. I wonder if this is not doing. No, it should still be sending the gate, right? Let's just check. Make sure that it's what I think it is. I'll just switch a scope in here and yeah, it's sending a gate. It's just something else I have done wrong here. Okay, we're part 3. Part 3 is what we're sending out to plats. Yeah, I'm just going to mute the other parts for a sec here so we can hear when this starts. It's in mode T2. Maybe we need to just start running again. I'm definitely putting the trigger into T2. Have I discovered a bug, perhaps? Fairly possible. Yeah, because this is not advancing at all. Advances on T1, so that works. Yet it refuses to advance on T2. Did the globals actually get set up? Like, it's... Yeah, trig 1 and trig 2 are both set to external. I don't know what I did. Hi, Mr. Basic. How's it going? This is what we're working with so far. Finally, somewhat tamed the morphagene. Alright. I have no idea why this isn't doing what I would expect it to be doing, which is advancing because I triggered you. Seems like there's multiple. Now that's weird. Watch as I scroll through this. External, external. Why are there two externals? Okay. This seems buggy now. Look at this. What the heck? Oh, now it's advancing. I had to pick the other external apparently. Okay. Well, let me just make a note of this so I can put a bug report on the forum for the 512. Okay, so are we actually advancing? Yep. Oh, helps if I don't mute it. So now this is advancing every second. What we're doing, Mr. Basic, is trying to get... We have this. I'll turn off all the effects for a sec. This is one of those sequences I've done in the past that are advanced by a trigger. And I'm trying to make it have some relation to this pattern. So we're taking that initial trigger and basically saying every second one send it to this pattern. Before it was just running on a straight 16th notes and it sounded out of place. So let's see what these sound like together now. That sounds much better to me. Although I wonder if maybe every second wouldn't... What about every third? Easy enough to do with setting it to 3 voices. That was a long pause, Marbles. Oh, I forgot too that we had this actually set on a little pattern and injecting some deja vu. I might like it better in 2. beginnings of what I would call a track. I still need to figure out, and I find this the hardest part of doing music, honestly, is figuring out how to start it and how to end it. Getting to the what you want it to sound like in the middle is easy. But I guess the nice thing about ambient is that there's a million different ways you can start and end it. I think I tend to overuse the add parts and then remove parts thing, but yeah, I mean, if any of you have any other suggestions on how you go about doing that, like how do you progress a song that doesn't have real structure to it, right? Like adding and removing parts is one thing, adding and removing modulation is another thing. That's what I've been doing with this. So this is what, for those of you who haven't been here, this is what I've sort of been starting with. And then I wait for that high part. And then start adding a bit of this dual delay. Then mix in a little bit of the sound on sound from the morphagene when you hit those high parts. Every so often. Figure out how to automate that later. And then I think I need to like fade in that sort of accentuation we had going on. Surprisingly, by the way, it's coming from Platts. Never thought that would be the case. And then I think I would fade in the additional sort of following pattern. Then my thoughts from here is that maybe I would just continue to evolve that one pattern, but I've got to do another bit of reading through the Vectors manual to see, because it would be ideal if I could evolve the pattern a few times and then go back to what it was originally, and I think there's a way of doing that, but I don't remember how to do it. Thanks everyone for watching. There's been so much chat tonight. It's been great. I love talking to you all about this kind of stuff. As I've said many times before, there's no one in my community that knows anything about this or cares anything about modular stuff, or really music oftentimes that isn't made with guitar and whatnot. Which reminds me, at some point, I do not play guitar, but I have a guitar and I can play it really badly, but sometimes patching that into a modular system can be really, really cool. Maybe I'll do that next time. See if we can add in anything. You can watch me fumble around with a fretboard and not know where any of the notes are because I've tried to learn guitar like 8 times and never gotten anywhere. Okay. Maybe what I could do is, so in that part, alright, so it's these 2 A6s is where it gets high, so that's where I might want to have a chance to modulate the morphagene up. How I might go about doing that is I could use the velocity track. Have to do is have it set minimally on all of these things except for those 2 notes, because this has been randomly generated by the sequencer, these velocity values. Eventually, I wonder if I can, I don't want to skip it. Don't skip that note, please. Okay, so we have the velocity going up in 5 and 6. So if I just patch the velocity, it's probably going to sound crap, but it'll add it. You don't play guitar, you kept treading water too, yeah. Ukulele. Was it you or someone else? Someone's channel talks about putting ukulele through their modular. I can't remember whose it was, but that always sounded. I think I picture that Hawaiian, like any Hawaiian sort of ukulele song, and then putting that through modular, and you just like putting it through morphagene and like breaking it all up into pieces and whatnot. That could actually be kind of cool. I need to do more stuff with that too, is getting more samples and mangling them up. I used to do a lot of found sound recording and stuff like that when I had my Digitact, but I need to figure out another workflow for that with the morphagene or perhaps something else. Anyway, so this is not working with velocity, which is interesting. It's definitely not. Oh, does this become an attenuator now? Yes, that's the problem. Let's see how this sounds now. So if this is now an attenuator, we don't want it to go all the way. That's nice. It's not actually as harsh as I feared that it might be. So now what I would do is on those two steps, I would set up chance operations to say, oh my goodness, do we not? I might not have that option. We have an option to make an accented value. Okay, so maybe what we'll do is set this to make chance to make an extra accented value, super accented value, reasonably decent chance. And then we'll actually go turn the velocity down. So that should give us around a 50% chance that we will trigger morphagene to do the sound on sound thing. Yeah, there we go. So now it's not always going to happen. That's much better. Clouds is good for that Hawaiian sound. Yeah, I know. You see them using it all the time in Hawaii, right? Let's turn the delay back on a little that it was actually, just in case, I'm gonna make this 100% chance. So I'm not sure that it's actually turning out morphagene enough, the sound on sound. Yeah, turn up the attenuator and then maybe that'll make it. That was a bit better, but maybe a bit too far. Okay, that works for me. Make it maybe like a 75% chance to trigger something like that. Regarding, you were, G on YouTube, you were talking about the Digitact. One of the things that I wish this vector sequencer had was the Digitact's and all of the electron sequencers actually ability to say trigger this thing only if the step before it triggered. Because really that's what I want with this. I don't want each of these steps to independently have a 75% chance. I want it to be like either this whole thing triggers and it's we turn up the sound on sound for steps 5 and 6, or we don't turn them up for either of them. But oh well, what can you do? Kalimba. Yeah, Kalimba. That's the little like finger thing, right? Because I've seen lots of people doing ambient stuff with recordings of that, and that has been tempting to see if I can get one of those. And which did you watch Justice of tutorials on? Is that the Digitone? Do you mean? Yes, exactly. Yes, that's something I've been tempted by because it makes very nice noises. And in order to be streaming, I got a better mic setup than I used to have. So that could be something we try. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do a stream in the next little while. One with guitar for sure, and then one with let's do some random found sounds and drop them into morphagene or something like that and see where they go. Yes, the Digitone. I have one right over here. It's just been sitting unused for a while. Where are you? Yes, the Digitone. It is pretty cool. However, not as cool as modular. Although, admittedly, I've never tried just sequencing it directly with a vector sequencer, bypassing the electron one and purely using it as a voice. That could be interesting. Alright, well, I do like where this turned out. And it's starting to get late for me, so I think that we're going to call it here. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming. It's great to see so many people around and chatting. That was really awesome. Just a reminder for those of you on YouTube, I am restreaming to both YouTube and Twitch, but I definitely prefer if you try to make it on Twitch rather than YouTube. Time for my second strike on YouTube. YouTube streaming service kind of sucks. So yeah. But however you want to listen, I'm happy to have you around either way. Yeah, your Zoom H1 hanging out of the window, ran it straight into morphagene and Great Birds. Yeah, I could see that being really good. Right now, it's very much winter here, so there is no sound of anything outside. It sucks both for recording sounds and for video. There's not much to see outside in a lot of ways. Yeah, no problem, Ken. All right, everybody take care. I will be back again on Wednesday, and maybe we'll try a stream with some found sounds and guitar and random mangling of all that, and we'll see where that goes. Take care, and we'll see you later. Although first, let me find someone to raid. As sometimes that works out. Nightworks is still around. I'm gonna send you over to him. He does some great modular stuff sometimes.